everyone to our wine webinar series here at Vine Connections. My name is Lizzie Butler, and I'm thrilled to be sitting virtually across my table with Leandro Azin from Casarena Winery. The head winemaker of Casarena is with us today, tuning in all the way from Mendoza. Leo, it is wonderful to be with you, to see you, and hopefully your connection's going okay from the winery. All right, there you are. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Leo?
Yeah, I can hear you. I have a little delay, but I can hear you well.
Okay, great. How are you doing?
Yeah.
It's great to see you.
Great. Thank you for doing that tasting with me.
Oh, of course. Well,
It's a pleasure.
I'm so excited. Today, not only do we get to dive into Argentina, but specifically we get to dive into Lujan de Cuyo. And I think that many people think kind of Mendoza is just one whole entity of a region. But when you really start diving into Mendoza within the subregions, that's when things get really, really interesting. So today we're going to specifically focus on Lujan de Cuyo, and that's where the Casarena winery is located. And it's where they specialize on for their wine. So additionally, today we're going to taste 3 of the single vineyard wines from Casarena. We have the Naoki Malbec, we have the Lawrence Cabernet Franc, and we have the Owen Cabernet Sauvignon. And we'll dive deeper into the soil, the varietals, what makes these vineyard areas really, really unique. And we can't wait to hear your perspective, Leo, on having worked in many different areas of the world with wine and how you approach winemaking from Lujan de Cuyo. So tell us a little bit more about your history with winemaking in Mendoza and also in other parts of the world as well.
So, well, I started when I was 15 years old. So really young. My father is an enologist, and I started studying enology in the secondary school. It's a technical school. So since that, I started to the winemaking world little by little. All the years I started to work in the winery, all the harvest, and start to do from the lab. When in general all the winemakers start. And I started in Lujan. Was my first place where I started. And after that, I worked with low wineries with Trapiche, Chandon, again in Lujan. And my first school of winemaking was Cuvelier Los Andes, that is from a French family. They have 2 chateaux in France, and I used to work there for 9 years. This is a product from Clos de los Siete that allow to a lot of French families to do wines in Mendoza. One of them is Michel Rand, so I worked for that family 9 years. I made some harvests in California, and after that I come back here and I start to work in Casarena. I have a consultant that is my old teacher in winemaking in Cuvelier Los Andes, that is Adrian Manchon, that he helped me with everything I need. So I'm still young and I need some support for that. And he's my teacher. Respect to Lujan, I think Lujan, so I love Lujan. I think it's one of the best places in Mendoza to grow low varieties, because you have too many different places in Lujan. To a lot of different varietals. So Lujan, I think, is really elegant in the wine. You can feel the elegance of the wines at the bottle, and this is why we get really famous with the Malbecs. So it was the first place to get famous with the Malbec of Argentina. So I think Lujan is amazing, and still we have a long way to study to go with Lujan.
Yeah, I think so. I think two main subregions that people recognize for Mendoza today are Lujan de Cuyo and the Uco Valley. So Lujan de Cuyo being a little bit farther north, closer to actually downtown Mendoza, Uco Valley farther south and farther west. From your perspective as a winemaker, how do you describe the general differences between Lujan de Cuyo and the Uco Valley?
Well, I mean, the Uco Valley is the new place for winemaking, and this is why it get a little famous because all the people start to look and to try to find new things. But still in Lujan, we have new things to study and to learn about it. We have Naoki that is really new and is a unique soil that allows to Casarena. And so I used to work in the Uco Valley for 9 years. And when I start here and I look at that place, so you know that this place is unique. So I think we still have a long way to study and to do still better and better wines. The Uco Valley is really famous for the concentration you have the wines, the anthocyanic, the tannin compounds. And here in Lujan, I think you can still find that if you were really, really good from the vineyard. So still you have really, really good concentration and tannins, and you have really good wines that are really, really elegant at the end. So again, the Malbec that I taste from Lujan in general are the Malbecs that represent very much better in general the Argentina. But for sure, Uco Valley is the newest plate, and the critics and sommeliers in general love to hear about new places. But I think the quality of Lujan is amazing. So it's something that you can argue about it.
I think that's such a great point for people to realize is that I kind of generally categorize them as Lujan de Cuyo, more the classic traditional region of Mendoza, and then the Uco Valley is kind of like the new kid on the block in the last, 15 to 20 years, save for some old vines that are definitely existent in the Uco Valley. But in general, it's been more explored in the more recent chapter. And with that higher elevation, obviously many winemakers are exploring what the Andes elevation really can offer in Mendoza. And you get cooler temperatures, bigger, higher sun intensity, gets that concentration. But it's not
exactly in general. You think that in Uco Valley you have more difference of temperature between the night and everything, but when you go to some places in Lujan, you have almost same things, and even worse. If you go to Lawrence Vineyard, that is another vineyard we have, it's really, really cold, and we have even problems some years with the frost. And you see the difference of temperature between the night, and it's really, really highest the difference than some places in Uco Valley. So I think still we have to found and work more at the vineyard to find that difference of the wine. But I think in Lujan you have really much more material than in other places in Uco Valley. So I'm really passionate about Lujan since I started working in Casarena because I saw the potential we have here.
I think that's so important for people to also learn is that even in Lujan de Cuyo, you can have a few different microclimates. There's even different elevations within Lujan de Cuyo that can really make, Agrelo and Pedriel and Mayo Drummond all very distinct from each other. And I think that's why it's so important that we have wines now from Mendoza, like the single vineyards from Casarena, to really allow the wines to speak to that story. Because otherwise, if the wines don't align with that, then how would we as wine consumers understand that sort of nuance from Mendoza? So that's great. And I think that Casarena, you guys have been really leaders in doing more research and investigation with climate as well as soil in Lujan. Tell me a little bit more about your viticulturist Pablo's work in doing that.
Well, the vineyard we are working hard right now is Naoki. So it's the vineyard where we put a lot of energies these last 3 years. and it's because it's special, it's unique. The reality is that we don't have a soil like that in the rest of Mendoza, not only Lujan, in Mendoza. And we are trying to work with a lot of geologists, engineers to understand the soil, to understand where it comes from that soil. So it's really, really unique, lot of minerals, really white soil, ashes from the volcans in some places. So it's really, really weird and unique. And when you taste the wines, that is the most important for me. You can feel that at the wines, you can taste that minerals or graffito, how we call it, like carbon or kind of in the wines. So it's really, really unique and good to wines. If you are passionate about it and you wait for the grapes to mature in that vineyard, you can get really, really good wines to aging. We are still working in some blocks because we have, so for example, this is the label. I don't know if you can see it well. And you have all the blocks over here that we have different minerals in every one and different soil exposition. So every block is completely different. We work per separate, we make a study per separate, and we want to taste that wines every year until 10 years to understand the wines. So still the project is really new, but still we are working in a geographic identification because it's a unique soil in Mendoza. And the geologists, the specialists say that it's not same that the other vineyards in Lujan, for example. So we have to work with that and to understand more the soil and the wines we get from that vineyard.
I think it's one of the most exciting storylines in Mendoza, and specifically Lujan de Cuyo, is that although these regions have been making wine for hundreds of years now, there's still such an amount to learn about the soil and the why behind, that this block is different than this block, that, generations have known for a while, but now really understanding the history of geology behind that and how the evolution of irrigation has really affected that, and the age of the vines that have been planted or are now being planted. It's such a depth of history, but such a new chapter for understanding.
This vineyard is, again, really hard to work about it because you have a lot of minerals, you have a lot of different nutrition for every block, because you can get some problems with magnesium, with a lot of manganesium and a lot of minerals. So it's really hard. We study about the leaves, about the grapes all years. We made some really good studies with Paulo about it. We want to get some results in 1 or 2 years at the bottle with all the studies we did at the vineyard. So it's really cool to see the process.
And I love presenting the single vineyard lineup for Casarena because it delivers such an aha moment for wine lovers and wine drinkers. Because it's a very cool experience to taste them all in a row. So like you said, and we'll have it up on the screen, the pictures of the bottles. We have 3 different wines, and they're 3 different vineyards, and they're 3 different grape varietals. So what you're able to experience, even within a very small area distance within Lujan de Cuyo, 3 very different expressions of a vineyard. And you also get to experience 3 very distinct grape varietals that have very different stories in Argentina. First, you have the Malbec from Naoki, which we all know Malbec, but Naoki Malbec is a very specific type of Malbec within the world of Malbec from Mendoza. Then you have the Lorenz Cabernet Franc, and we're going to talk about what Cabernet Franc's story is within the Argentine story. And then we have the Cabernet Sauvignon from Owen's Vineyard, which I've never met a person who's been to the Owens Vineyard and not been completely blown away by what this vineyard's character is. So they're all 100% varietal wines, and we can talk about your winemaking approach with each one. But I say, if your glass is ready, let's start with the 2017
I
Naoki
already was
Malbec.
drinking some Naoki.
Me too. We already were drinking time before. We're ready.
Yeah.
Let's talk about.
Don't worry, we can do it again. So
let's go. Let's take me through Naoki. What is the experience of the Naoki vineyard, and how does that get into the bottle?
Well, I will say one thing about the three lines, the winemaking. So when I start with the Casarena, I start to work in the single vineyards. That was the line that we represent Casarena, because we have 4 different vineyards. If we want to see the difference of the vineyard and the grapes, not the winemaking. So to me, the winemaking had to be really respectful with the work, with the hard work Pablo did at the vineyard as agronomist. So it's really respectful with the grapes. So I want the wines that you can feel the difference of the grapes and how express. So the expression of that soil and that place at the wine. So I made same fermentation in all the single vineyards. I don't want to do something different because, again, I want that all the people can taste the difference of the grape, not the winemaking. So in every one, I did a double selection, grapes, so grapes, stems, and leaves. And after that, we made a cold maceration around 7 days. After a normal fermentation, I start to work with the indigents and I start here. So I did nothing at all. Again, really natural process, really natural acidity. We work to get that concentration from the vineyard. We have really low yield per plant in general in all the single vineyards. That is around 1.5 kilograms per plant. So really low yield, because we want that concentration, that good acidity. So we work that from the vineyard, and I respect that in the fermentation and the post maceration. For this, I ferment a 20% or 30% in barrels. So it's a micro vinification. After that, I made the blend, the assemblage, and I come back to the barrels for 12 months. So this the basic recipe of the single vineyards. After that, in Naoki, if I have to say something, is again the potential we have here. So I think again to study all that blocks that you can look over here, and that the exposition soils and everything to taste to taste per separate, ferment per separate. And again, taste after 12 months at the barrel, you will look really different between the blocks, and you can make a good blend of Malbecs for that. So it's a blend of blocks to do that. This because we want a really expressive wine of that single vineyard, and we work and we play with different Malbecs with different time of pickings. So we want something complex. And now the aging, we want a wine that can support at least 10 years at the bottle, at least, but still we want a wine that you can enjoy when you open it. So this is the balance I have to work every time, concentration, but at the same time that you can enjoy it when you open the bottle at the first year. So it's hard to find it, but we work hard to get it.
So everyone's clear too. So you're talking about it's not different vineyard blending, just within one vineyard, you're breaking down different blocks of soil just within that one, and then micro vinifying that and then blending it. So the level of precision here is really, really refined, and also denotes how different the soil can be even just within one vineyard site.
Exactly. So when you make a blend, it's good to have different wines to play. It's like when you cook, you have different species, and you want to play to make a better food or more complex. In the wine, it's the same. you want different things to give more concentration, more tannin, more body at the wine. So it's great when you are picking the grapes to pick in different steps, to fermenting per separate, to play after that at the assemblage. So this is what we do with the Naoki in general.
So you've obviously made a lot of Malbec in your life, Leo. So tell me what you find specifically about the characteristics of Malbec from Naoki. And we can talk about the 2017 in particular as well.
So again, I think if you have the wine there, you can taste it, you can feel it. You have a really mature wine. You will find really mature fruits at the nose. And when you taste it, you taste a wine that is really good, really, so it's really harmonic, the wine with the nose. You don't feel tannins that are really aggressive or kind of this, because we have a wine really mature. We have seeds that are really brown when we pick it. We have really mature tannins, and we work with that skins and seeds after fermentation for a long time until the wine get brown. So we made a malolactic fermentation with the skins, as we used to do in Bordeaux with the French family. So this helped you a lot with the body of the wine. And I think Naoki especially it's a lot for me. It's a passion for me, because I didn't find a grape like that in Lujan. It's hard to say it, but all years is the last grape we pick in Lujan. We pick almost in the same time that Lujan, the Uco Valley, that they usually end 2 weeks after us. So it's a grape that we have to wait, and we have to know how to wait it, depending on the year. But it's stressful for Paulo more than for me. That's the agronomist. But I love it. I love the mature we get on that Malbec in Lujan. So I think it's unique, not only for soil, you can taste it at the wines.
I think exactly what you're speaking to. It almost has a depth that in the front palate that you would expect from something like an Uco Valley Malbec, but it has that plum fruit and more of that red fruit that you usually get from Lujan de Cuyo. And the tannins are so fine. It's such a beautifully structured wine in that way, that Malbec generally, naturally has softer tannins in general, but this has enough structure to really maintain a balance between the weight of the wine and the texture of the tannins, and still has great,
so in the palate. This is what we want in our wines. We want really good concentrated wine, but we want that the people drink it and enjoy it. We don't want a wine too tannic, too dry. We want something that you can enjoy, and I think the Malbec is the best example for that.
Yeah, it's amazingly light on its feet for how much it gives in the wine, which is really impressive. Very well done from your winemaking and viticulturist eye. I would say that one thing I always noted in the vineyard of Naoki, two things, but especially in the aromatics, is there's a lot of kind of the wild flora and fauna of Mendoza is desert flora and fauna. And so there's this desert time harija type plant around Naoki, and I always get that.
You can taste it really well when you go to the vineyard. You can smell it, and you can taste it in some blocks of Naoki more than others. But it's amazing. It's amazing that wild smell.
Yes, I love that element. I think there's always this little bit of a savory element to Naoki that I really love to counteract that fruit that Malbec always has. And before we get to Lauren's, I wanted to ask you, Leo, what is your latest research with, as you were saying, the soil of Naoki is very particular. It's kind of this dusty, white, layered soil that's very hard. And I know you call it cemento indio. What
Yeah.
is the latest from a geological perspective of what you're finding out of what that soil is? Because it's not found anywhere else in Lujan.
So the geologists are trying to understand the soil, but they believe that these are ashes that come from the Tupungato volcano and go
Wow.
over there by the river, and this by the years was compact and made like a concrete. So this was really hard. When we start to plant it, we have to break it with machines, so it was impossible to plant over there without process that land, that place, because it was really hard. So, but we believe there are ashes from the Tupungato volcano that are really weird, but you can see it in some places. You have like a powder, and another is like a concrete. So we have different blocks with different composition of these ashes from volcano. But we are still studying of that. I give you a new from the some news from Paulo that we are still working. So we believe we will done with that study in 2 years, I think.
Well, bravo to you all. I know that is a long, arduous process, but you're putting in the work and making new headways for understanding the terroir of Lujan de Cuyo. So kudos to you guys. I love Naoki, and I think it's such a singular wine in the world of Malbec. And as we go to the Laurens, I love talking about Cabernet Franc from Mendoza, because I think it's kind of like an overlooked grape varietal, or an unknown grape varietal in the world of single varietal wines within Argentina. So tell me your experience working with Cabernet Franc and a little bit about the background of Cabernet Franc within the plantations of Mendoza.
Well, I mean, it's getting famous, the Cabernet Franc from Mendoza. And when you taste the wine, you understand why. You had very much different Cabernet Francs from Mendoza. You can get really different between clones and places. Really different wines, really pre-acidic or some really mature. So you can get really good wines, depending on the clone or the soil or the place you put it. And again, when you taste the wines, some big wines are amazing, are really expressive, and you taste a really different wine than the rest. So this wine is getting famous. For us, Cabernet Franc is future now, so it's present and future. We have some blocks, so not much more than 1.5 hectare, and we put 5 hectares more this year. So we will see in the future new Cabernet Francs to make this that blend, maybe. We put different clones, and we are still studying. But the clones we have are amazing, and are the clones we worked since 10 years ago. In these clones and in this place in Lujan, you can get really good wines, really mature wines. So you won't feel a really pyrrhacinic or green wine. You'll feel a really mature Cabernet Franc, a really ripe Cabernet Franc that helps us to, again, to get until these wines that we want to enjoy, and you don't have a really much really hard time, really complexity of the nose. In Laurens is really so Laurens is a vineyard that we have very close from Naoki, so you can see the map from the air. So it's not so far than Naoki. It's just 1,200 meters down Naoki, and it's in a deep soil of Lujan. So this soil is with a lot of how you call it, with a lot of clay. So it's really a clay soil. You can find really humid soil, and at the nights this deepest soil made that you have really, really low temperatures that come from the Andes. So you have a deep soil with low temperature and that can take low water in the time. So it's a wine that in general, you have more acidity, more flavors. And in general, it's really hard to get into a mature wine. So we work again hard with a lot of prunings and taking out some leaves and raisins to get into that wines, because we want really good maturing concentration to get into this Cabernet Franc. So again, same fermentation process, micro-unificated at 30% and another percent in tanks or concrete pools. And after that, we made the blend and we come back to the barrels for 12 months.
So one of the ways I love thinking about Cabernet Franc from Mendoza is that usually people know Cabernet Franc from France, from the Loire Valley, or from places like California, in generalizing. So you have more of the cooler climate, greener style, leaner style of Cabernet Franc from France. And then you usually have the other side of the spectrum, more of a riper style from California. And so exactly like you're saying, what I love about Cabernet Franc from Mendoza, and it's, I believe the reason why Cabernet Franc has come to the forefront of catching people's attention is that you have the higher sun intensity, you have a riper climate in that way, but you have to remember that our Lujan de Cuyo starts at 2,500 feet elevation. So you can still get cool temperatures, especially at night, exactly what you're saying with the Lawrence Vineyard. So you're able to get a riper flavor profile without over ripening the grapes. And you still have the characteristic flavor profile and aromatics of Cabernet Franc without getting too lean. And obviously it depends on what style you like, but I think that's why Cabernet Franc has really taken off for Mendoza.
Yeah, but again, in this wine, it's really important the word at the vineyard. We pull a lot of leaves out. And this helps us to get more sun hours and the weather until we get mature that grapes. Again, is more time of exposure to the soil, to the sun. So you get the really mature wine. And this helps us a lot with that tannin. So in general, in the Cabernet Franc are really hard, really aggressive. And in this case, you have a really soft tannins at the end of the process. We pick the grapes when the seeds are again really brown, and we have the skins really mature. So we work with all that tannins to get into this wine, and we can age it for at least 10 years. So it's most of all is the vineyard, and here the winery to be really respectful with that, to understand the wine and the grapes, how to work at the winery.
Well, I applaud you for your 100% Cabernet Franc. We just started bringing this into the United States because we were so blown away by it.
Yeah.
And it's gotten, all the three wines across the board for press have gotten 92, 93, 94, 95 points across many different publications. So clearly people are taking notice to them.
We are really happy with this Cabernet Franc. I think will give us a lot of prizes around the world, because we love it and all the critics love that wine. That is really good for us and for what we did.
There aren't many other bottles you can find that level of Cabernet Franc from Mendoza. So well done. Kudos to you, Leo. Well done. And to the team.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we went from Naoki, and again, Naoki and Lawrence Vineyard are only 400 meters away from each other, but very different profiles. From soil to other elements that go into viticulture there. Now the Grand Poobah, I like to call it, our third of our three musketeers is the Owen's Cabernet Sauvignon. Obviously, these are three Bordeaux varietals. Argentina is most renowned for Malbec, but I love talking about Cabernet Sauvignon from Mendoza because I think it's so overlooked as one of the prime varietals that Mendoza can completely thrive with. and make world-class Cabernet with the rest of the world. So tell us about the Owens Vineyard and what makes it unique, and how you approach winemaking with such a unique vineyard.
Well, so when you put that wine at the glass, you taste the Cabernet. And I think every time I put it, it's amazing. I love it. Again, we know it's a unique vineyard. It's really old vineyard. It's a vineyard that is around 80 to 90 years old. It's not just one clone. These are a mix of clones of Cabernet Sauvignon that bring the Italians from Italy after the Second World War. So it's really unique. You can see that pergola, so it's a pergola system, and you can walk around. You did it with me last year, and you can see the grapes, and you see that every plant gives you a different cluster. So you have biggest clusters, small. You taste it, and you taste one that is really mature, and another that still are really pyrazinic, and this is really unique. So to pick that is really hard, because you have to know when to pick and to understand that all the grapes are balanced, or that mix of clones. But the pergola is great for us. Again, we have aware that it's really hard with some grapes. You can burn or kill the pyrazinics in that wear, but the pergola helps us with that, because help to protect the grapes from the sun. So help us to give a really mature wine with a lot of pyrazins. So this helps us a lot with the pergola. And again, it's an old pergola that produces just a few quantity of clusters per plant. So it's really expensive for us, but it's really competitive at this price in the US. So this produces around 1 kilogram per plant. That is 4,000 kilograms per hectare. It's really low. And this natural, this not a word of us. This just respect these plants that are amazing. And when you ferment it and you taste it again, you can taste the wine, and it's really, really unique in Mendoza. And when I share this Cabernet with low winemakers, are surprised about that Cabernet Sauvignon from Mendoza. With Michel Roland, with the famous winemakers, they are crazy about that Cabernet Sauvignon. I think this is why Vine Connection are right to Casarena, right?
It is. I feel like I want to paint the picture of what entering the Owens Vineyard feels like, because I truly don't know another vineyard of Cabernet Sauvignon like Owens Vineyard in Lujan, or really anywhere else in Mendoza. So Lujan, you have this really particular view of the mountain range of the Andes from Lujan de Cuyo, and the Cordón del Plata is the very famous peak that you can see. So you're entering the vineyard, and to the west, you have the Argentine blue sky and the Cordón del Plata. And then you enter this vineyard site, and if anyone has ever been in a parral-style trellising vineyard, you literally walk underneath the vines. They're trellised above your head. And so you kind of walk into this wonderland that you have grape clusters hanging above you. That's amazing for snacking, I will tell you that. But it's such an incredible view of seeing how these 80-year-old pergola-trained vines have evolved. And you see the different ways the grape clusters have evolved in their varying shapes and sizes. You have small, tight clusters, you have bigger, looser clusters, and it's all Cabernet Sauvignon. It's all just how this vineyard has naturally evolved over time. And I think that what's so important is you're amazed standing there, but then you realize, oh my gosh, all the people at the winery have to harvest these vines like this. So it's backbreaking work. You can harvest these grapes, but that's what you have to do. There's no other way to harvest a vineyard like that. So you get the really unique kind of vineyard blend of all those different types of grape clusters and general mutations that it's had with the hand harvesting and the low yield. I mean, truly, there's no other cab like it from that perspective. So what a cool way to bottle what that soul really feels like and make it into an outstanding Cabernet. So that must be a fun experience for you as a winemaker.
Yeah, I love that Cabernet Sauvignon. I think I enjoy it every time that I open a bottle. So it's again unique, and every year we work with Paulo, and we work from the vineyard too, where we start to separate some different parts of that pergola and to ferment them per separate. But again, every time fermented in the barrels, you can really see the powerful you can get in this wine, the power of the and concentration and fruit you can get. And after some time we add the barrel and the bottle, you can taste an amazing wine to aging and to enjoy. This is the most important for me. But again, when I tasted with low winemakers, they didn't believe that was from Mendoza. Even they believed that was from another part of the world. And this is the way how we work. We are really respectful with the grape, with the place. We want that the vineyard show the potential of every microware. We are just passionate about that, to respect the grapes, to ferment that, respecting the fruits, to add, so to do a really natural wine. And this is the most important for me. But it's true, every time that you go to that vineyard, it's like go back in the time. I think to me, it's like go back with my grandfather to a vineyard, because it was an old system to plant the grapes. But you can get really amazing things from that pergolas if you know how to work it. So we are really happy about that quality of the Cabernet Sauvignon. And again, it's getting famous, that Owen Cabernet, because no wineries some time ago used to try to buy that grapes because they know the potential of that Cabernet Sauvignon, and Casarena buy this property, and I think it's like our prize. So we love it and we enjoy it. It's hard to work it from the vineyard, but it's again a passion one that you open the bottle. So we still have a long way with the Cabernet Sauvignon of Owens to understand again these different places of the pergola, because we have different composition of the soils. We have some places that we found 2 years ago that we have lost stones because some time ago used to be a river over there. So we ferment per separate that place than the other place of the pergolas. So we still are studying to get still better, but I think it's amazing. And it's the most elegant wine we have at the winery.
Well, it's so evident, Leo, of your closeness, intimacy, and connection with these three vineyards, and how there's such a respect for the place first. It's you entering the vineyard and taking your spot as understanding it, and you're kind of reading it like a book and studying it, and then seeing what the best way your hands can create it into a wine that justly speaks to what the place is. And I think that in the world of single vineyard wines, yes, you can have single vineyard wines that are just physically from one space, but this level of detail and precision of understanding the vineyard site is not apparent in all single vineyard wines. So just a huge kudos to you and the team for the time you're putting in, the research you're putting in, and the 2017 vintages across the board are just incredible expressions of all of your work doing that. And they're fun to taste, and man, I don't know a Cabernet Sauvignon lover that will not go crazy for Owen's Cabernet. It blows people's socks off for the quality of cab, but then again, it's a standout cab in the flavor profile of cabs. From its elegance, the different textural elements you get because of those different grape clusters that you're adding into the wine. It's such a fun experience for people. And like you said, buy some bottles now, but aging these will be a really cool experience into the future. To see how they'll evolve in the bottle too.
It's a great wine for drink it now or for Eden, but it's amazing. So I started to love that vineyards. These vineyards give me a lot of happiness and prices. All the people love it and drink it. That is the most important for me. So I start to love it more and more every year.
You got to enjoy the wine with the people. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. Well, Leo, I would say that you represent such an important generation and mindset of winemakers in Mendoza right now that are really going to keep continuing Mendoza on this track of very, very exciting, cutting edge evolution that to a place that it's never really seen before. And it's by being innovative, but also being very respectful to the history of Mendoza and guiding it along, keeping its identity, but evolving it with all the new exploration that you can do in Mendoza. From your seat right now, what for you is the most exciting part of Argentine wine today? And where do you see Argentine wine in 5 to 10 years from right now?
So it's a really hard question, but I think we still have a long way to work. But so I have a school of blends. I love to do blends. So blends of Malbecs, blend of Cabernet Sauvignons, different places, different blocks. So I think the future will be the blends. We have to work how to make a great blend, great blends in Argentina. I think so. Just say I'm passionate about to respect the grapes in the place because I think it's the signature of the winery, and you can reproduce that. So I think it's an identity of the product. And if after that, after respect that grapes and that wines, you can do a blend, you can really represent what is the product and the winery. So my feelings is that the blends will be the future. For me, the present. So I love blends, and I hope to keep working and doing more and more blends that the people can enjoy it.
Very exciting. I think that you're an artist that way. You like putting different, or like a chef, like you were saying, you like putting the different elements together in the bottle that brings, something that's more of the sum of its parts.
Yeah, I mean, it's the signature of the winemaker. But I think you can really represent the quality of the product of Casarena in this case, with a really good blend and being respectful with the place where come from the grapes.
Mm-hmm. Well, I will encourage people that when the world can start moving again, visiting the Casarena winery in Mendoza is one of the most spectacular experiences, from both the tasting aspect, the beautiful area around the winery, and the restaurant experience that you have there as well. When that all is rebuilt and rocking and rolling again, it's usually in everyone's bucket list. So you can see Leo soon. Usually I see Leo at least once at this point in the year. So I'm so happy to see you at least virtually.
Well, first, thank you for the call. I love to share wines with you and with the people. So it's my passion. I love to share it. And I'm sure we will be together soon tasting some wines. So wait for you and for all the people that want to visit us.
Amen. Leo, we will have more glasses of wine in our future. I do not doubt that at all. And thank you for everyone for joining us in the Vine Connections world. Obviously, you can reach out to us at Vine Connections if you want to learn more about where you can find Casarena Single Vineyard wines where you are. And Leo, again, I can't thank you enough, and cheers to you, my friend. Thank you for leading the way for Lujan.
Thank you.
Salud.
Cheers.
Ciao,
Salud.
ciao.